What's up, everybody? It's me, it's Alexis Maurice, and Mr. Trey Hollywood himself is returning to the co-host seat. And welcome to an all-new episode of Hollywood Happenings in 2016. So go ahead and pour yourself a glass of wine, put on some lipstick, pull up a chair, because it is time for us to discuss the latest happenings in Hollywood. And tonight we are focusing specifically on the 2016 Oscar nominations. Snubbed, the black actors and actresses, of course, were not nominated at all. So while we take our first sip, you go ahead and like this video. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, share it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of that stuff, because you know we're trying to come up. Trey, how have you been, my friend?
I'm great. How have you been, my friend?
I've been good. I've been really good. So let's go ahead and get started. So the 2016 Oscar nominations, you know, Hollywood's biggest night, were announced, and guess what happened again? Not one person of color, I have color, he doesn't have color, was nominated for the awards. There were no black, Hispanic, Asian Americans nominated for Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress.
I don't even think there was a white with nappy hair nominated.
No, who?
A white with nappy hair.
Oh, child, please. This is not, what's it, Rachel, what's her name was? Rachel, you know, the one pretending to be black.
It wasn't StaceyDash either.
Right, but, so as a result of the lack of color in this year's nominations, JadaPinkettSmith. Now, you guys remember JadaPinkettSmith. She was on A Different World. She was on Gotham. What else?
Set It Off.
Set It Off. All of those movies. You guys remember Jada Pinkett. She's also the wife of WillSmith. Actually made a video, basically like a call to action, asking everyone, people of color, to stand up in our power. Just stand up. Just stand up. And not support the Oscars this year. As for her in her house, they will not be attending this year's awards. Take a look at some of what Jada had to say.
Is it time that people of color recognize how much power, influence that we have amassed, that we no longer need to ask to be invited anywhere? I ask the question, have we now come to a new time and place where we recognize that we can no longer beg for the love, acknowledgement, or respect of any group? Maybe it's time that we recognize that if we love and respect and acknowledge ourselves in the way in which we are asking others to do, that is the place of true power. The Academy has the right to acknowledge whomever they choose, to invite whomever they choose. And now I think that is our responsibility now to make the change. Maybe it is time that we pull back our resources and we put them back into our communities, into our programs, and we make programs for ourselves that acknowledge us in ways that we see fit, that are just as good as the so-called mainstream ones. Begging for acknowledgement or even asking diminishes dignity and diminishes power. And we are a dignified people, and we are powerful. And let's not forget it. Let's let the Academy do them with all grace and love. And let's do us differently. Hey, Chris, I will not be at the Academy Awards, and I won't be watching. But I can't think of a better man to do the job at hand this year than you, my friend. Good luck.
So, Trey, what was your reaction to seeing Jada's video?
Okay, well, first of all, let me just start here.
Let's start with Jada.
I'm going to start with Jada. So Jada had the audacity and the integrity to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this video. I'm home by myself.
Right.
I'm gonna voice how I feel. Now, I'm very vocal, and I'm very all for, stand up for how you feel and be vocal. If you don't
stand for anything, you'll fall for everything.
So
if you don't stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. Something like that.
Yeah. So I believe and I support and I agree everything about what Jada Pinkett said.
So will you be watching this year's Oscars?
Honestly, I'm pretty sure I'll be booked. Maybe doing something at that point in time.
Oh, okay. He's booked.
And I'll just find out who won.
Well, I'm gonna watch.
And it's not even because it's about the black thing. It's because I'm really not. In everything that's really nominated. I really was. It was lackluster. It was okay. It wasn't something I'm like, man, I want to see. I hope they win. Like, just for example, when Sandra Bullock won for the movie she was in the space. I forgot the name of it. But I wanted it because I wanted to see if she was going to win. Because I actually enjoyed the movie. It was different. So to me, it's just not because it's not no black people nominated. But I get what Jada's saying. I agree with what she's saying. There need to be a point where people stand up.
The reasons I asked Trey to join me tonight was because of the fact that he's an aspiring actor and, he wants to be in the entertainment industry. My thing is, okay, so I saw Jada Pinkett's video. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. The first thing I thought of was, oh, she mad because her husband didn't get a nomination. Now, if you guys know, WillSmith did get a nomination for Concussion, a Golden Globe nomination for Concussion, but he did not receive an Oscar nomination. So my immediate thing, was, oh, she mad. They mad. He recording a video and she's, saying what she got to say in front of the camera because her husband didn't get nominated. So that's what I originally thought going into it. No, but once I listened to what she was saying, I was like, okay, well, I understand what you're saying. We, as a race, we don't realize the power that we have, the buying power that we have. When African Americans decide to make the decision to boycott something, and not even African Americans, people of color, when we make the decision to boycott something, it really hurts the bottom line.
Right.
And that's what Jada was saying. When we think about who are buying these movie tickets, it's us. We buy the movie tickets to go see these movies. We're good enough to host them. Chris Rock is the host this year.
Same thing they at work.
We're good enough to work behind the scenes to put the shit together. We build the set.
We give the creative director.
When it's going on, we are good enough to direct it because I do believe a person of color is directing this year's Oscars. We got a black woman who's running the Academy. We're good enough to put everything together, but we're not good enough for our talent to be respected in front of the camera. So we can do everything behind the camera, but we can't do anything in front of the camera. And so Jada is like, it needs to stop. We need to pull back our resources and put our resources back into us. So let me ask you a question, Trey. Did you see Concussion?
I have not seen it yet.
I haven't seen Concussion either.
But I've heard.
Have you seen Creed?
I have seen Creed.
Okay. And what was another predominantly movie that was dominated by
Compton? The movie Compton?
Straight Outta Compton. Do you feel that we as a race don't produce movies that are Oscar worthy? Meaning, is our talent as good as a Matt Damon or a Leonardo DiCaprio? Because I've been reading comments and people saying black people need to stop whining. We need to stop whining because, it put out better movies that are Oscar, worthy, and then you'll get nominations. If not, just shut up and sit back. Do you think we really put out a lot of movies that are Oscar worthy?
And this is what pisses me off when people say things like that, because you say put out better movies. First of all, the black people who are actors in these movies are not the ones that are putting them out. They're the one who casted for these roles. So in that case, you should say tell the white people to put out better movies or cast better black people or cast a white person for the role that you're casting this black person for. So let's just say, for example, if you have Tyler Perry who makes a movie, he the one who's making the movie. If he decides to want to cast a white girl who's married to the black man in the movie, he could easily cast a Nia Long. He could easily cast a Gabrielle Union. But if he feels that this person fits for this role, if it's a white woman, then that's what he's going to cast. So for the people who are going to sit here and say, make a better movie, the black people who are the actors in the movie are not making the movie. They're casted to the movie.
But let's talk about those people like Oprah Winfrey or Tyler Perry or even Will and Jada Smith. Who have the resources, Keenan Ivory Wayans,
right,
who have the resources to produce their own movies, to write their own movies. And what I'm asking is the quality of the content that we're putting out, is it Oscar worthy?
So are they saying that the black people who have the ability to make these movies stop being in these white movies and make their own movies?
No, not necessarily. What she's saying is we have to start putting our resources into us. So putting our money into the Smiths, to the Waynes, to Oprah Winfrey, to Tyler Perry, that's what she's calling for.
So
she's calling for us to come together. But what I'm asking you, listen to my question.
Okay.
Do you feel the content that we're putting out there, do you think our actors are good enough to get those Oscar nominations?
Yes.
Is what I'm saying.
I will, and I'll go back to when I constantly say this, when Halle Berry won her first Oscar. Mm-hmm. You could tell me that she can win this award because she really didn't do shit in Monsters Ball to win an Oscar. She showed her breasts. That's how she won. So you're telling me that she put it out, Monsters Ball, she put out a good movie enough to win an Oscar, which was better than the role when she did with Losing Isaiah? That was her Oscar winning role. That's what she should have won her Oscar. Right. But no, you wait to decide to one night put 3 black people in and nominate them. When you nominate Halle Berry for hers, and then you nominate Will Smith versus Denzel Washington, and you give Denzel Washington an Oscar because he plays an ignorant cop, instead of Will Smith, who had to go physically and mentally in a change to play a role of Ali.
Well, that's what Taraji was saying. You guys remember Taraji just won the Best Actress in a leading role drama for Empire.
And I'm mad at
she was like, okay, I'm winning this award for
because
someone
she's ignorant,
who used to sell crack, who went to jail. But
that's what they see. And that's why Ice Cube said, straight out of Compton, he said, well, maybe we should have put a slave in there somewhere. Maybe we'd have been nominated.
And I guess the thing about Straight Outta Compton was none of the people in front of the camera won the award, but the white writers won the award who wrote the actual screenplay, the adaptation.
It's bullshit.
But what I'm saying is, I hope that we rise to the occasion. I actually support Jada's call to action for us to pull back our resources and start putting it into us. And we need to start making better quality movies, videos, television shows, and things of that nature. Because even when you're looking on networks, the stuff that are made for black people aren't as good as quality as other people. When I say quality, I'm talking about cameras. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about longer seasons. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about those types of things. They don't invest, but they make so much money off of us in the process. Mm-hmm. And that's what she's saying. We need to pull back our resources, put our resources in us, and support stations like BET or Centric or our own production companies, and let's celebrate ourselves like during the NAACP Image Awards and the BET Awards and things of that nature. Now, I do think, to me, it's sort of kind of a slap in the face for her to say that, and Chris Rock is hosting this year. Because a black man or a person of color is hosting, I think we do need to support. She never used the word boycott, but that's what everyone is saying, boycott. She said boycott, boycott. She never said boycott.
And then the guy, I can't remember his name. I think it's Mark or Matthew. He the one who played in Iron Man. He the one who plays the Hulk. The guy who plays the Hulk in Iron Man, he was stating that he kept saying ban, and some people was correcting him on Twitter. She never said ban. Mm-hmm. She never said ban like you're saying ban.
It's just a call to action for us to reevaluate what we're doing or whatever, and stop letting white people or these mega companies, these production companies, take advantage of us. I think that's what I took away from what she was actually saying.
Because she said, let's let the Oscar do what they're gonna do, which they will either give us nominations or not, and let us do what we do.
And a lot of people are like, well, why are we begging for nominations? Why are we begging for nominations? I don't think we're begging for nominations. People are like, why do they care about the Oscars? Just think about it. When you are at work and you're working hard, you want to be recognized for your work.
Even if
the Oscar Awards is kind of like the top of the top. It is. It's the top. It's the number one thing that most actors and actresses aspire to get. That's a recognition. The gold silhouette, the statue is saying that you did a phenomenal work, and everyone across the world or the country is recognizing the good work that you did in this thing. So if you're an actor or actress, you're just like a Grammy Award.
That's what
That's the top award for a musician. So they aspire to get those accolades.
Like, for example, I'm going to just break it down in different terms.
Just like a politician wants to strive to be a mayor, a governor, a president, or something like that. It's something that they aspire to. It's not that they're crying. It's more of a respect thing. We're good enough to be behind the scenes, but we're not good enough to be, to win the award for our talent in front of the camera. So I think it's kind of corny for people to say, well, why do they care so much? Why do they care so much? For such a long time, we've been conditioned to think that this is the one thing that everyone should aspire for. Every actor should aspire to get that Oscar award. Not only with the Oscar, but when you get one, or even when you're nominated, you can start making more money. So I understand where a person like Jada or Will is coming from. They want to be respected for their work, or whatever. It's not crying for nominations. They just want their work to be respected amongst the platform that quote unquote represents everyone.
Right.
It went a little step further. So Jada put out her video, and then Aunt Viv put out her video.
Now, mind you, that's all we really know her as is Aunt Viv, so that's what we're going to go with. Because that's all her ass is.
But JanetHubert, you remember her? She played WillSmith, the dark skin, the black bitch.
Not the
she
light
played
skin. The dark skin.
The dark skin mama, Aunt Viv, on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Here are some of the highlights from her video about what she had to say in response to JadaPinkettSmith's call to action.
I want to say something about JadaPinkettSmith asking other actors, black actors and actresses, to boycott the Oscars. First of all, Miss Thing, does your man not have a mouth of his own with which to speak? The second thing is, girlfriend, there's a lot of shit going on in the world that you all don't seem to recognize. People are dying. Our boys are being shot left and right. People are hungry. People are starving. People are trying to pay bills. And you talking about some motherfucking actors in Oscars. And it just ain't that deep. For you to ask other actors and other blackstresses and black actors to jeopardize their career, and they're standing in a town that you know damn well you don't do that. And here's the other thing, they don't care. They don't care. And I find it ironic that somebody who has made their living and made millions and millions of dollars from the very people that you're talking about boycotting, just because you didn't get a nomination, just because you didn't win, that is not the way life works, baby. Okay? And it's very suspect to me. I seem to remember at option time coming to you and saying, you know what, Will, you're the star of the show. Why don't we all get together? And with you, maybe we could get a little raise. Maybe the network, since the show is such a hit, and you being the star of the show, your influence will help us greatly, like they did on Friends, like white shows do. Remember that? And your response to me was, my deal is my deal and y'all's deal is y'all's deal. Well, karma must be a bitch, because now here you are. You've had a few flops. And there are those out there who really deserved a nod. And Idris Elba was one of them. Lord have mercy. Beast of No Nation was incredible. That man is an incredible actor. You are not. Maybe you didn't deserve a nomination. I didn't think, frankly, you deserved a Golden Globe nomination with that accent. But you got one. And just because the world don't go the way you want it to go, doesn't mean that you can go out and then you start asking people to stand up and sing, "We Shall Overcome" for you. You ain't Barack and Michelle Obama. And y'all need to get over yourselves. You have a huge production company that you only produce your friends, your family, and yourself. So you are a part of Hollywood. You are a part of the system that is unfair to other actors. So get real. Now, for those of you who say, Miss Hubert, here she go, being bitter. Bitches, please. It's not about being bitter. It's about being right. Some of us got mortgages to pay, we got bills to pay, we got bigger shit to worry about than the Oscars. The only Oscar I care about right now is Oscar Mayer Wiener with mustard and relish. And
so Trey, what was your response to her video.
She's ignorant. She is reaching and stretching and twirling and all that for some type of success, attention, or something. Where the fuck you come from? You 60 years old. You ain't got no more career, and then you sit here trying to come for somebody who's actually trying to voice their opinion, because that's the world we live in.
She does have a career trait.
We're supposed to be able
just
to speak
because it's not mainstream.
That's my first time hearing of Aunt Viv since Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
No, she said something else recently too about him. Maybe sometime last year.
That's all she do is continue to talk about him, because that's the only way that she's gonna be relevant. But my point is, she sounds ignorant. She look ignorant. You 60 on some social media smash and bashing, girl. What I need you to do is stop trying to kiss white America ass to get a leading or supporting role.
I don't think she's kissing anybody's ass.
Drops mic.
She's standing and vocalizing her opinion, and she's standing her truth.
How you gonna say something? How you gonna say something?
I do believe 25% of what Jada and Will are going off about is because of the fact that he did not get a nomination.
And even if it is,
I personally don't feel that if he would have got a nomination, she would not have been having this conversation, and she would not have been doing this video. That's just how I feel about it.
I think that
call a thing a thing,
and call a twirl. But even if Will Smith didn't have a movie where he was wanted or needed to be nominated, I still feel that at some point, if it was a Jada, it could have been, I'm about to call her Olivia Pope.
Kerry Washington.
It could have been Kerry Washington. Say, you know what, damn it, why didn't no sister or no brother get nominated? Even if one didn't have a movie out. Let's say Shamar Moore had a leading role, and then he played her in that role. He died of that cancer, and why didn't he get his nomination? But it takes that one person to stand up and actually vote.
You're right, and she did.
And if we sit here and continue to be silent, then damn it, nobody ain't gonna know nothing.
Now, and I think Aunt Viv is basically saying, I don't think she sounds stupid, Trey. She just voicing her opinion. Now, Aunt Viv, I would say, Miss Janet, I would say you do sound a little bitter, like you are holding on to some things that happened 20, 25 years ago on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But she did bring up a good point. She was like, okay, so you mad because you didn't get nominated. But remember when we came to you, when we were on the Fresh Prince, and asked you, because you were the lead, to maybe, could you talk to the network officials about getting us a little bit more change for our roles, raises?
To Will, right?
Right. And he said, your deal...
Because he was old enough.
No, not because he's old enough, because he's the lead.
Your deal is your deal.
And
my deal is my deal.
That's petty. That's petty. When we are all black...
I'm probably saying the same thing.
But when we're all black and we're trying to come up...
I gotta worry about me.
And we're putting in all of this hard work. I don't think it's nothing wrong for her and the people on the cast to come to him and be like, Will, would you be the spokesperson and ask for some more money for us?
Let me ask you a question, though. If I did that to you 25 years ago, you're gonna still sit here and be mad about it?
No, I mean I don't know. I don't know how I would feel. As you can see, she left the show.
I'm like, girl, let me write you a check. What you need?
It's about an ensemble.
What do you need?
We are ensemble cast. For example,
you're replaced.
Girlfriends.
Security.
Do you remember Girlfriends?
Of course.
All four of them made the decision that okay, the show is being successful. We're going to collectively ask for more money.
I'm still waiting on the movie.
They all agreed. However, someone
Tony Childs
broke or whatever. No, she was the one who stood in her truth and said, "No, I'm not coming back if we don't get more money." But the rest of them came back. Is what I'm saying.
Because they did it because they love to act.
Right, and she loves to act too. But at the same time, you got to get paid what you are worth.
Be a pedestal. If you continue to get, if you're getting,
wasn't Aunt Viv a stronger wasn't JanetHubert a stronger Aunt Viv than the other light skin?
No, actually, I like to, and I'm not saying this because of
whatever. Yes, you are. You are being biased.
No, I felt
the black Aunt Viv was better than the light skin.
I felt like Uncle Phil and the light skin Uncle Phil actually had better chemistry.
No, she did not. The black JanetHubert had better chemistry with Uncle Phil than Daphne.
No, I think that the dark skinned Aunt Viv was a little more controlling. She was a little more raw than Uncle Phil.
She's a strong black woman.
And so
she was a strong black woman.
Light skin was black too.
Okay, so think about the sisters. Let's think about Aunt Viv's sisters. Didn't the dark skinned Aunt Viv fit in better with those sisters? Because that Daphne did not fit in good with them.
We're not talking about the sisters.
But anywho, I'm just saying it's chemistry. She had better chemistry, in my personal opinion, than Daphne had with the rest of the cast. But when it comes to Aunt Janet Hubert, she had her opinion. She vocalizes. I do think it's a little tarnished. She said that they're whining or whatever. Don't expect all the rest of us to boycott or to not support the Oscars because your husband didn't get one. And like I told you before, when I first saw the video, I kind of felt that same way too.
Well, then she should have watched the video again longer, just like you did, so she can see where it was coming from.
So let's take it a step further.
Oh shit! What now?
So StaceyDash.
Oh,
you guys remember StaceyDash?
The one who bashed the president?
Right. She's a black Republican director and actress. Now you remember her from Clueless,
Kanye West video.
She ain't been
the same since he dropped off at the airport.
That's StaceyDash, and she's been in a series of other black movies that have
she was on the game.
A predominantly black cast.
She had a co-star role on the game.
So this is what she had to say on Fox and Friends earlier this week.
Good morning.
Well, what do you think about this?
I think it's ludicrous.
Why?
Because we have to make up our minds. Either we want to have segregation or integration. And if we don't want segregation, then we need to get rid of channels like BET and the BET Awards and the Image Awards, where you're only awarded if you're black. If it were the other way around, we would be up in arms. It's a double standard.
So you say there shouldn't be a BET channel?
No, I don't think so, no. Just like there shouldn't be a Black History Month. We're Americans, period. That's it.
Are you saying there shouldn't be a Black History Month because there isn't a White History Month?
Exactly. What I find astounding is that we've had a president who is black in office for the past 8 years, who gets most of his funding from the liberal elite in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Yet there are not very many roles for people of color. How can that be? And why is it just now being addressed?
Y'all have to excuse me. I'm just hot as hell. I'm fat, so But okay, so what did you think about what StaceyDash had to say?
Oh, glory, hallelujah.
StaceyDash said
okay, so
we don't need no BET, no BET Awards, and no NAACP Image Awards.
She said she don't need no Black History Month.
And Black History Month. Damn, I forgot about that.
That was the most.
It's all about inclusion. If we really want to be included, then we need to stop. We need to stop with our separate, us being separate.
We're all people.
What do you think about that, Trey?
We the people. We the people of the African American society want you to go. We want to take Rachel and get rid of you. Okay? We're tired of your ass bashing and trashing and getting around town looking stupid. I need her to go. Okay? What we got to do?
She's one of our own. She has a different viewpoint. And see, that's our problem.
She's from New York.
That's our problem. If somebody doesn't agree with what mainstream black America says, then we want to disown them.
No, it's not about disowning them. We just want you to go ahead, have your life, stop worrying about what we doing. But she's what is it, Asian? African American?
I don't know what she is black
and Mexican.
She is black.
No, I'm giving you what she's from New York. I took this earlier.
I can't stand when people do that shit. I am half Cherokee Indian.
No,
you're black.
No, the thing about it I'm giving you is she got no white in her. So why she acting like this? But all three of her husbands been white though. All the three husbands.
I didn't know that.
All three of them was white. Ooh.
Well, she's down with the swirl. Ain't nothing wrong with being down with the swirl.
But they got a black ass. You better be glad that you got that black ass. And
Trey, you ignorant.
No, she ignorant.
You are ignorant. But
King Magazine want their money back. BET want their money back.
BET even tweeted it and said they want their money back.
Heart and soul for the black people. So they want their money back.
So
since you don't want to act right, give us the money back and go about your business.
Here's my thing, okay?
Go over there that
you
NBC.
have the Food Network for people who like food. Mm-hmm. You have
you got VH1 for people who like reality TV.
You have different music networks for people who like all things music. Whether it's videos, VH1, any of those things. You got the shopping network for people who like to shop. You have the Cartoon Network for kids who like kids. What is wrong with black people having a black television network for black people? For us, by us. FUBU, okay? Telenovelas. the Hispanic channels and stuff like that. They, you know, what are you laughing for?
You said FUBU.
Right.
Now,
By us.
This generation
Call it
might
to the
not
people.
know.
Boo-boo. That's what I'm saying. What is wrong with us having a network for us to celebrate us and our heritage, our programming? Because if we were to apply your approach and we were to remove BET centric, if we were to remove those channels and depend on the major networks to show us and, you know, to provide our programming, we would have another situation like Oscar So White, where there's no black people represented on, you know, for the nominations. So there is nothing wrong with a station being about black people. If there was a station about Asian people, then so be it. Congratulate, you know, them. I'm glad that they got a network for them. What the fuck is wrong with it? There's absolutely nothing wrong. At the end of the day, if we were to rely on our schools to teach us black history, the only time that I learned about black history when I was in school is really during Black History Month. One of my undergrad degrees is in history. The only time we talked about black people is when we were slaves many, many years ago. And that's it. We never focus on the contributions that we have made to society as we study other people. So we can't depend on the school system or the education system to really teach our history because they don't. We had to make them actually teach our history. And that was the opportunity for us to do it during Black History Month.
You know, one of the things I learned in school when it came to history, I had a teacher. I can't remember his name, but I really appreciate him because, you know, it's sad that it took to 12th grade in high school for me to find out even about the situation with the penny. Like, and he taught like a lot of things like a lot of people don't know.
What did he teach you about the penny?
You know how the penny, which president is on the penny? Which president is the one to help the slaves? Abraham. He the one. If you get a quarter, a dime, everyone. Okay, if you get a quarter, a nickel, a dime, and a penny, is that all the coins?
Quarter dime and the Sacagawea.
The fuck?
The Sacagawea, the dollar.
Anywho, if you get that and line them up, the penny, the president, Abraham Lincoln, on the penny is facing the other direction. And it's stated that either it's because that he turned his backs on the whites to free the slaves. Or they stated that the whites.
Say what? Your teacher taught you that?
Yeah. It was my history teacher. Because he's facing the other direction and it's stating that he basically turned his back against his fellow white brothers or friends or whatever, fellow white presidents. And that's why the penny was brown. So, yeah, I mean, and then to think about...
I've never heard that before.
You never heard that before?
No.
Are you serious?
No, I've never heard that before.
Wow, we were just having a conversation about that at work the other day when my supervisor was saying how he learned that in history. About the penny, I was like, yeah, I remember learning that too. Damn. But the thing about it is when my teacher taught us that, he didn't teach us that from the books. He told us close our books. I'm going to give you our history. He told us about stuff that a lot of appliances that we use in our homes are made by black people. Yeah. You know, so it's just it's like we don't really learn the history. We learn what's in the history books.
And so now to kind of complete this whole Oscar snub situation, Will Smith actually was on Good Morning America this morning with Robin Roberts, and he was
shout out to Robin.
He was discussing and what really pissed me off about this whole situation with Robin Roberts is people were bashing her because she had the interview with Will Smith.
But that's her job.
They felt that she was validating his claim that, you know, the Oscars in Hollywood isn't representative of this whole nation and what it stands for.
People with their opinion.
Take a look at what Will Smith had to say about
like you expected it to be and you dreamed of it as a kid.
The beauty of Hollywood, combined with American ideals, is the ultimate dreams for humanity. The basis of the American concept of anything is possible with hard work and dedication, and no matter your race or your religion, creed, none of that matters in America.
For everyone Their American dream is different. It's not all the same, and they want to see that reflected in film.
Absolutely.
And I think that is part of the conversation that's going on right now.
Absolutely.
And people raising their hand and saying, hey, I'm not seeing myself being recognized by the Academy.
I think that diversity is the American superpower. That's why we're great. So many different people from so many different places adding their ideas, their inspiration, and their influences to this beautiful American gumbo, you know? And for me, at its best, Hollywood represents and then creates the imagery for that beauty. But when I look at the series of nominations of the Academy, it's not reflecting that beauty.
Yeah, you said Hollywood at its best, and many feel we're not seeing Hollywood at its best right now. Even George Clooney mentioned that 10 years ago he thought the Academy was doing better. What is your opinion?
Well, it's really interesting. I've been nominated twice for Academy Awards, and I've never lost to a white person. The first time I lost to Denzel, the second time I lost to Forrest Whitaker. So for me, that was huge. So when I see this list and series of nominations that come out, and everybody is fantastic, and that's the complexity of this issue. Everyone is beautiful and deserving, and it's fantastic, but it feels like it's going the wrong direction. You know, when I look at it, the nominations reflect the Academy. The Academy reflects the industry, reflects Hollywood. And then the industry reflects America. It reflects a series of challenges that we are having in our country at the moment. There's a regressive slide towards separatism, towards racial and religious disharmony. And that's not the Hollywood that I want to leave behind. That's not the industry, that's not the America I want to leave behind.
The Academy is under pressure as more stars speak out about the lack of diversity in this year's Oscar nominations, including Will's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. Were you aware that she was going to do that?
No, I was out of the country at the time, and I came home. What happened?
What was your first reaction? Was it a fist pump, or was it like, oh?
She's deeply passionate, and when she is moved, she has to go. But I appreciated the push. There's a position that we hold in this community, and if we're not a part of the solution, we're part of the problem. And it was her call to action for herself and for me and for our family to be a part of the solution.
And how do you respond to people who feel the only reason she made those remarks is because she was upset that you didn't receive a nomination this year?
There's probably a part of that in there, but for Jada, had I been nominated and no other people of color were, she would have made the video anyway. We'd still be here having this conversation. This is so deeply not about me. This is about children that are going to sit down and they're going to watch this show and they're not going to see themselves represented.
We heard that Jada said that she is not going to be attending, nor will she be watching. Will you be attending the Oscars?
No, my wife's not going. It would be awkward for me to show up with Charlize, you know. So no, you know, we've discussed it, and we're a part of this community. But at this current time, we're uncomfortable to stand there and say that this is okay.
So how did you feel about what Will Smith had to say?
Interesting. You know, I feel like this is I watch Will because as an aspiring actor, Will is one of the ones I look up to because he can play a serious role, a funny role. He just gives me all of it. But hearing him in this interview, it was like it was the most political correct interview or conversation that I've ever actually seen him have.
It was, to me, the interview was very dry. And he was very strategic in everything that he stated.
Just thinking about what
and that's saying. Good, but
he was on the Beyonce. You know,
I look for more raw emotion.
Yeah.
And you can be raw, but still articulate your point. You don't have to curse to articulate your point. But I look for more raw emotion. I also look for people of color who are in Hollywood and in these positions to speak up more. Mm-hmm. Because, Lupita spoke out. Spike Lee spoke out and also said that he would not be attending this year. Snoop Dogg said something.
He said, fuck the Oscars.
And I respect him. I respect Lupita. I respect everyone for vocalizing something.
Cube,
but I really feel more people of color should say something. Now, at the same time, I know it's scary for them because this is their career. They don't want to be blacklisted. They don't want to be shut out.
Like what you call it from Hollywood Divas? How she was blacklisted.
Who?
Nicole. Paula J. Parker. She was blacklisted.
She said she was blacklisted though because she dated her. Someone who worked on the set.
That was me being shady. That was me.
But anywho, they don't want to be blacklisted. But it goes back to what Jada said. We have to take a stand and realize our power. Mike Epps, he walked away from survivor's remorse because he requested more money. And apparently they told him no. And the way that they told him no, they killed his ass off the show. So he's not going to be coming back for season 3.
What show?
Survivor's Remorse.
I don't watch that.
You gotta do better.
I don't watch Power either.
And see, that's what I'm saying. You are the reason why these people, this is what they're talking about. You're not supporting your own.
No, I just don't support 50 Cent.
Oh, child boo. Yeah. Whatever. Support programming trade. That's what I'm saying. And that's what
I do.
Jada was saying. We don't support ourselves.
Oh, now you know
we don't support our own.
I do support my own.
No, you don't.
Because I don't watch Power, I support my own? Mm-hmm. That's a damn lie. I don't support 50 Cent. Now, if it was somebody else over it, then I'll support it. Now, you know what? I don't.
You're being petty.
Some people I don't support. Like, because Tyler Perry, I stopped watching that Haves and Have-Nots. That show just, it's stupid to me.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. We would never get to where we need to be for people to recognize us if we aren't supporting our own shows.
I say the same thing. I say the same thing about these people who are not watching Brandy's Zoe Ever After. Because you want to know why? Because it's Brandy.
But anyway.
The bitch connect.
Anyway, Will Smith, I've always said this, and you can go back and look at other Hollywood Happenings episodes. I've always felt Will Smith is a phenomenal actor. Mm-hmm. I felt that he has not been given the respect that he deserves when it comes to the quality of work that he puts out. He needs that one role. But like I said, I was reading the comments on the interview today with Robin and Will on the Good Morning America page, and reading those comments made me realize, although we have made some progress, we have a long way to go. Because a lot of white people feel that black people are whining and complaining because Will Smith didn't get a nomination. It's not about the whining and it's not about the complaining. It's about the respect.
The diary of a mad black man.
It's about the respect. We work just as hard, sometimes harder. You guys don't even realize that, but we work really, really hard in everything that we do so that we can be recognized. A lot of times so that we can get that pat on the back by, the white man or the white woman at work or whatever. And it's tough when you feel that you're pulling out quality work. The box office, even though it's not even about the money, but the box office represents that we are putting out content that people love, that people of all races want to see. Black people are always stepping out of their comfort zone because we want to be included, because we want to be recognized. However, I feel white people do not step outside of their comfort zone enough to learn more about us and why we feel the way that we do. If you would just sit and listen instead of dismissing us because we're whining and we're complaining, no, it's about respect. And it's about feeling valued, feeling like we contribute to something. And it is so frustrating for someone to dismiss how a person of color feels because we're not included in your world. We do everything. We work, we put shit together, but we're not good enough to be recognized for what we do in front of the camera. That's frustrating. And it's not just in Hollywood, it's in everything. It's in corporate America. You guys just don't know how it feels. You don't know the struggle, and it is a struggle. But because you're in the majority, you don't get it. Until white people can sit down and listen to what people of color have to say and really try to understand where we're coming from, then we can have some serious dialogue. I said this a long time ago on one of our shows. Until they're willing to come to the table with an open mind, we will not get any further than where we are right now. And that's all I have to say.
My final thoughts. I think that as an African American community, we need to get to a point where we're supporting one another. Because at the end of the day, we complain about, oh my God, Adele's came back. She sold this many albums.
She's singing our music.
And the thing about it is that, okay, well, they compare Adele and then they compare Beyonce, and they say, you know what, she came back, Adele's the real queen. She also Beyonce, but white people support. The people from overseas, they support. They buy the albums.
Yeah.
Where the black people download the albums. You know, and one thing and
that's a good point.
Yeah,
we bootleg everything.
We bootleg instead of we go buying it. Like I asked a friend, I said, well, you know, he's like, I make you a copy. No, I don't want a copy. I'm gonna buy it.
I've always been a firm believer in that too.
And so it's just like I'm gonna jump back and I'm gonna go to Brandy for a second. Her 211 album came out. No, I'm being serious. Her 211 album came out, and I know some people who say, you know, I fucking love this album. Like they said, this is a great album, but they didn't buy it. They downloaded it. Why can't we as black people say, you know what? I love this. So I know this artist, or I know this actor went and put their heart and their soul into it. They spent studio time, they spent their money, or this actor went and left their family and went over to Canada to film this movie, or into Germany to do this movie, or they was in Atlanta to do this movie, so they left their family. They did everything they could to make this movie. So you know what? I'm gonna go and support them. Like I have a friend of mine who said he saw Creed on DVD. I'm like, how did you see Creed on DVD? He bootlegged it. Did you go to the movie theaters to see it? No. Why not? But you'll sit here and you tell me that you went to see Grandpa.
The Martian.
You know what I'm saying? Some shit like that. So,
and Matt Damon got a leading Oscar nomination for The Martian. And I saw The Martian. He did nothing great in that movie to be nominated. I ain't hating.
And what's crazy to me is
I'm
that
not hating at all.
Normally, with
I
the
haven't
Golden
seen
Globes,
The Revenant yet, and I'm going to go see The Revenant or whatever. But
that's the thing about it. Even usually when there are Golden Globes, because Will Smith was nominated for a Golden Globe,
it usually leads
over
the road to the Oscars, is what you're saying.
And what's crazy to me is that Will Smith got nominated for a Golden Globe and did not get nominated for an Oscar. And that's what I'm saying about
the Academy. And that's one of the things that the president of the Academy, she did come out and say that they thought that they were doing a lot better, but when we look at the population, it's like 90-something% of the population of the Academy, they're all white. And that's what I was saying about stepping outside of your comfort zone. How many white people, the 90-something% of the Academy, do they go see black movies? Do they go see movies like Creed? Well, they probably would because it's Sylvester Stallone. But do they go see other predominant? Did they go see Selma or whatever? Did they go see Concussion? Did they go see all of these movies? And that's the thing. So the Academy, they've made a statement that they're going to induct more people of color into the academy. But and one of the things that Whoopi taught me today was anybody who's a part of the academy can nominate anybody in any movie. Mm-hmm. But once you're nominated, it's about the voting or whatever. And so how can people vote on a movie if they didn't go see it?
Now I want y'all to think that we're not saying that we're any better than any Caucasian actor or whatever. And I don't want you to think that we're racist or we think that black people make better movies or this and this and that. All we want to say is that we gotta get to a point where, you know what, even if it's not segregated, not if it's saying that whites over here, blacks over here when it comes to the acting, let's just get to the point where, you know what, damn it, that actor did so good. If he don't get a win, he needs to be nominated. He needs to be recognized, because you know what? If you're not recognized, then nobody knows. Because who would have known, even though you might have had previews, you might have had this and that, but still it needs to be, that's the highest stage. That's why so many artists want to perform at the Grammys.
Well, I don't anticipate it being changed until 2018, 2019. And the reason I say this is because when you think about the industry, movies are already planned for 2016. Mm-hmm. You know, contracts are already signed. Actors are finishing up this movie. They're going to be starting this movie. So I don't really anticipate seeing a real change until 2018. Once those new people are inducted into the academy. And then people are in the stages of developing movies for 2018 and 2019. Right. So hopefully we'll start seeing that change at that particular time. But we want to thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Hollywood Happenings. Trey, it was so good to see you. Or whatever. Felt like old times.
I know, right?
We have to get together real soon.
I'm gonna have to come back on over to Hollywood Happenings.
Bye guys. Thank y'all so much for watching.
Well, everybody's been so uptight.